I just have a little glow around me, which, my aura.
So good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Last week, we talked about branding and personal brand and the difference between the two if you're creating a brand for yourself and you're going to be your brand. And today we're going to take it a little further into how to exploit that brand and leverage it. But before we get into that, we're having a chat prior to this blab about the differences between someone who wants to be a career author and those who just like to write. And it doesn't mean you can't like to write and want to be a career author, obviously. Yet there are clearly a couple camps that are prevalent in the writing world. And Wendy was talking earlier about a friend who was, I just want to write. That's all I care about is writing. I don't want to market. I have no desire to do any of that. I just want to write. Now, as you're listening to this, notice if any of this is familiar to you. That do you just love to write and have no desire to promote? Because that's going to be a challenge. If as Authors Success Field, the Authors Cafe, you see the brand around us, our vision is to work with career aspiring authors, those who actually want to translate the idea into money. Now, you're going to have to find that place within you where you go, is it just the warm fuzzies? I just like being at my desk, writing in my own little bubble. Or am I going to get outside of my shell and actually promote? Right. So Wendy, tell us a little story about someone, just your examples of the differences between the style of writers that just dream about it and those who actually are willing to do what it takes to turn it into dollars.
Well, it's really a difference in how you think about your life and your career and your passion and all that. Mm-hmm. And what I found is that, and I didn't originate this idea, but some people are in it for the passion and some are in it for the profit. Mm-hmm. And like you say, it doesn't mean that you don't have a passion if you're in it for the profit, but often it's kind of one or the other. And you have to rethink where you are as a writer and what your goals are and what your ultimate aim is. Because if your aim is really to do it for the joy of it, but you're like the girl at the prom hoping that someone will ask you to dance. And, basically saying, please like me to the world. You're not going to get nearly as far as if you go, okay, I'm going to do this as a business and I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to learn what I need to learn in order to promote myself and get out there and do what needs to be done because my goal is to make a living at this or to, have this be my full-time income or to make it to the New York Times bestseller list or whatever your goal is. But it's really important to become clear about that and start having a plan about that. And I'm in different writers groups and have been for a long time. And I've found people who say, I just hate marketing. And, and if you hate something, how much are you going to do with it? Really? You're going to find, that the laundry needs doing, that you have to clean out the fridge, you name it. Something is going to be more important than whatever it is you hate doing. And so you're probably not going to do it. But I also find that often people hate stuff or are kind of afraid to go there when they don't know how.
Yeah.
Like there's this big cloud of confusion. And if you don't know how to take the next step, you won't take it. And that will keep you small. It'll keep you back. It'll keep you from making a career of your writing and whatever. And then others who might have a more business focus about it go, well, okay, this is a little bit different than I've done before, but I've learned this, so I can certainly learn this. And what I've said to myself in business over the years is I'm a smart person. I'm sure I can figure this out. And so you just go learn it. And that's a very different mindset from I hope someone picks me.
So Garry, I'll plant a seed for you here. If I have a finite view of who I am, meaning I'm just someone in front of a keyboard, that's what I do. I love to write. Don't bother me. I don't want to focus on all that other stuff. This is what I love. It's my passion. I'll let a publisher do that or live in the fantasy that, someone will take care of it. Like you say, pick me for the dance. That self-perception is really the thing that's got to be dealt with first before they even learn how. Isn't that so, Garry?
Yeah, I think it's across any business genre, I think that, but definitely for authors is that, and creative types, the desire and the passion to do the creative right brain stuff is sometimes overtakes the left brain logical. Okay, I need to make a living out of this so that I can pay the bills and and continue to do what it is I enjoy doing. And yeah, it's definitely seeing, and we talked a little bit earlier as well about it. It was more of the vision that you have that makes the difference. And it's a topic we've discussed over and over on these blabs about being clear on what your vision is for your business as a writer, and what that means. So does that mean you're going to just do one book and be done with it, and to say, okay, I'm accomplished, I've published, because that may be all, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Or is it that your desire is to really create this library of books that are just you as the author? You need to figure out what that is as an author first and foremost, because when you do that, when you have the vision, then what all the pieces are that need to go into place to make that happen.
Yeah, I think,
right.
Go ahead.
Then okay, well, in order for me to create this publishing empire, then I need a marketing team, or I need to at least have the start off with the understanding of those components, and I need to have a support system around me that's beyond just me and the keyboard.
Yeah, and I think for most people, if they have a finite perception of who they are in terms of their life and their writing, those thoughts don't even enter their mind, and if they do, it causes overwhelm, because they're the smallishness. And I don't mean any disrespect. There's no right or wrong way, but to define the truth to yourself is important. That's where first step to making real change in life is to know exactly where you are. And if you say, I just love to write, then you can be honest and maybe get lucky and pick for the prom, maybe get lucky, but that's a little bit of a fantasy. Let's be honest. It's a daydream. Or you're going to say, no, actually, I want to translate this into dollars. There's nothing wrong with getting rich off your work. There's nothing wrong with paying your rent. So therefore, there are teams of people like us and others out there that can support that dream and take the stuff that you're not skilled at. And I think that's the art. Once you have the passion for it, and then the passion to not only write, but to see it consumed by the market and enjoy it, then you'll go, well, maybe there's others who can do better at the things that I'm not skilled at. I don't have to pretend to be good at it all. Get them to do it, and I'll continue to do what I love. So you can do both. They're not mutually exclusive. And I think the challenge, that's one of the problems a lot of authors have. They think they need to do it all, everything. I'm speaking from experience here, so maybe I'm preaching to the choir. Go ahead.
That's where the overwhelm comes from, right? It's the, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. But there's a difference between overwhelm and that overwhelm stopping you, or the overwhelm inspiring you. And that's really the author that's going to be the one that's going to take the step. Right? The overwhelm says, oh my gosh, there's so much, but I'm going to dig my heels in and do it. Or it's the overwhelm that says, oh my gosh, and oh no, I'm too afraid. And you talked about the fear there. When it's understanding that, and sometimes the inspiration can come from seeing some other author doing the similar thing. Say, oh, it is possible, because sometimes that's all we need, is just to see that it is possible, right? But if only a small 20% of the authors out there are actually doing something, then they don't have a lot of references to pull from to say, oh yeah, they've got these big superstars out there, which does make it seem overwhelming. Oh my gosh, I can never do that, right? And so the more, and part of our vision is to inspire authors to see that it is doable. You can do things in chunk size. You can in chunk components where it is digestible information that you can take in, absorb, and then utilize and implement right away to start to see results. I think that's such an important aspect of what we're doing with Author Success Guild, because it allows to create that bridge from where they want to be to where they are, right? To make that a little bit more attainable and achievable. And we've been talking about branding and all that kind of stuff, and that all comes into play. If you want to, when you think about the big name people in the industry, what they represent in their writing style, right? Whatever the genre is, you know what they represent in their writing style, and that came from them saying, "Here's the vision." At some point, someone or they had to do it, had to say, "Here's my vision, and now let's start off with step 1, then step 2, then step 3." And this is a good a client. Oh gosh, it was 95, I think it was 96. Had a client who just, for the life of her, could not come up with a title for her book. And you know, she was just never perfect enough. It wasn't the right one, you know. You know, and so she always, when she got to the point of actually coming up with the right title and the subhead for it, she just got writer's block. It was just blocked. She couldn't get past that. You know, and then the distinction or shift that occurred for her, that I helped her with, was, okay, well, instead of coming up with the perfect one out the gate, let's start with the first draft.
There you go.
The first step, right? And then that shifted her. Oh, okay, I don't have to stick with that. That doesn't have to be the only, you know, and I think authors get into that when it comes to the marketing too. They think they have to hit that perfect thing and they have to hit that bullseye the first time out the gate. And the reality, doesn't matter what business you're in, it doesn't happen that way.
You never write a book.
That's a really good point too, Gary, because I used to be in the hospitality industry and I was in the sales and marketing department, and we all agree that you try stuff and see if it works. You try it and see if it works. And people think marketing is, you know, it's like a railroad track where you just go down the track, but it's not. It's because there's so many variables that change all the time. But what you have to do is find a first step and go, okay, what would work for me in my situation with the time I have, with the money I have? What would be my first step? So maybe you could address that a little bit, Gary.
All right. So I think definitely, you know, and I think Wade and I kind of definitely drive this home a lot. Definitely the first thing is to figure out what it is you want to do. Figure out what that vision is. And, you know, once you've got that vision, then I think things will start to fall into place as far as what steps, how serious you need to be, the rate at which it's going to happen. You know, I think that's really, because, you know, any business that I consult with, that's always the first thing I start with, because otherwise we don't know what we're going to create and how we're going to make it move in the direction.
The end game?
Yeah, you know, and then we start with the end in mind. So there's some reverse engineering that occurs in that, right? So that's the first thing, and then then once you've got that, then definitely seek out tools and resources that help to make those steps easier. Right, you know, things that are in alignment with your learning style, things that are in alignment with your vision, with your values, your beliefs, all those kinds of things, but also things that inspire and stretch you, things that kind of, you know, make you think in a different way, and that can come from, you know, different lessons that you can take, whether it's online or offline, different books. There's so many different, you know, seminars and things like that. Those are definitely important things. And I think that in the author industry, I think that a missing piece, as far as what I see anyways, a missing piece is the personal development for the author themselves, because they need to also work on their own. They're so focused on developing the personality in the book, that they forget about the personality that's actually creating it. And I think that's what creates a lack of strength and resources to create that empire outside of that.
Yeah, I agree. When you're clear on who you are and what you're trying to create in terms of whatever that vision is, and it doesn't have to be as big as a, you know, #1 bestseller. If that's outside of your ability to entertain, don't pretend or think that you're supposed to think that big. It's up to you. It may be, I just need to sell a few books. I just want to know what it's like for 10 people to buy my book, or 100, or if it does. But you've got to find one that you feel, you know, I could do that. I could do that. And if you can get that belief of there's no difference, because the chunk it took you from 0 to the 10 is the same action, to 10 to 1,000. And a matter of fact, it's easier later.
Exactly.
It's hard the first ones. The first is the most. Oh, anyone listen to this? What's more difficult, cutting the grass or thinking about it? Thinking about it. When I was a kid, I spent 2 hours toiling over any way I couldn't do it, knowing I'm going to have to do it anyways, and it took me 40 minutes to do it. So it's 2 hours and 40 minutes because I wasn't allowed out. So that thing, when you do something little, the first step is always the hardest. But once you get going, you go, I mean, I sold a book. And you get that feeling, you're just amplifying that one principle. Who knows how big? But at least you can.
Yeah, and it's creating that gradient, right? Creating that bridge from where you are to where you want to go. So it's in thinking what those little steps that are going to make you feel like you're moving closer, that are going to actually give you evidence that, hey, there's progress going on. So yeah, so there's so many little bits and pieces that could go into that, but definitely if you start with a vision, all the other things will start to come in and fit together to get you there. As long as you keep that vision in mind and keep refreshing that vision. I usually tell clients every 6 months, because the vision you start beginning of the year may be completely different, 3-4 months later. And if you do a whole year on a vision and then realize at the end you're like, oh my gosh, that's not really what I want, then of course you're not going to have the motivation and the inspiration and the drive to do what you need to do. That actually, because you're not on the right vision.
That brings up something else in my mind, and that is it's almost stepping back one step and saying, what is my motivation for writing? To really examine, why am I writing anyway?
Great question.
Not even just what am I writing, but why am I writing, and what's it supposed to do for me and for anybody else? Because some people write just because of the joy of writing. And if that's your goal, just to enjoy writing, great. But the sort of prevailing wish among writers is to be great and to get on the New York Times list or whatever, or sell X number of books or be a well-known name, or, those kind of things. And it's like the culture says this is what you should aspire to. But if you don't actually know what your own motivation is, you can't even really figure out your target market if you don't know what your motivation is. If I write and my goal in writing a particular kind of book is to entertain or to teach or to educate, there's different things that could motivate you, or just to say that I've done it, or to have a business book that you can sell at the back of the room kind of thing. So if you know what your motivation for even sitting down is, that's really important, because then you can brand yourself and then you're authentic about it. It's like, I'm doing this because I have a heart for this. And then I can go, okay, well, that makes it so much easier to find my audience. That makes it easier to find, to brand myself, to go, okay, this is what I represent to the world. And the people that are looking for that will go, oh, well, I get her, she gets me, or he gets me. And so that connects you in that way.
I have a comment here. I'll hand it off to tee up the whole branding conversation. If I've explored my passion, like when he said, I actually identified this is why I write. Now I know. I'm not pretending. I'm aware of it now. Then you go, okay, well, what if you imagine that inside your vision? Does that mean someone who sells 1,000 books, 10, 1 million? You'll get a feel. You'll know. Your body will tell you. One thing is your brain might lie, but your body never does. You'll get a feeling. It'll tell you what you believe is true. And you're like, now I know where I'm at. I understand, that I'm passionate about that. Well, what about the passion of seeing yourself experiencing that? You got to feel the feelings in advance of, man, that'd be awesome. Just, here you are doing a book signing or whatever that is. If that is it, step inside your skin in that feeling. And Garry, so now imagine that's the case. You go, okay, well, how important is branding and leveraging that brand? Because ultimately you're going to have some vision of who you are or you're trying to promote. There's some brand aspect to it. What would you do from there, or how does branding come into it?
Well, okay, so I think that again, like you said, once that's clear, then you know whether you're branding yourself, which we talked about last week, or you're branding your title, right? Your theme or your book or whatever it is. So I think that's definitely a factor. Then you got to look at, okay, how do you do your promotion? How do you do that self-promotion to start off? So, we got another 10 minutes left. So I want to kind of go through some tangible, usable things that the listeners could use here to actually start to, create a brand and potentially have it go viral. Okay, so one of the first, and I'm thinking more of the mindset of now business systems that need to be in place to build a business. And the first one we should always, no matter what your business is, you should always look at is a referral system. So how could you possibly do a referral system for authors? So what you could do is you could have, if you like writing so much, you could create additional character development books that talk about the whole side stories of different characters and stuff like that, and valued at like say 99 cents, and then anyone who refers a reader to your book gets one of these as a referral reward. Right, so they're just little short books that just kind of go deeper into the characters and their background, their history and stuff like that. And it's, you would normally sell it for 99 cents, but, you're giving it away when they refer someone to your book. So now there is strategy on software and how to create that and track those kinds of things, but it's all doable, right? You can also, give away paraphernalia like bookmarks, or you can give away video insights from the author. So 2-3 minute video on some aspect of book or character. Again, as rewards for every time someone refers a book out, right? They send it to their friends. You have something that tracks that link. Every time someone purchases, just like an affiliate link for an affiliate software, right? And again, if listeners here don't understand that terminology, because it is marketing web technology, find someone who knows it, because in 10 minutes not enough time to teach you that stuff. But find someone who knows that stuff and help them to set it up. Because once it's set up and it's on autopilot, I'm telling you, sales will be coming in, and you don't know where they're coming in from, but you just see the number in your bank account going up. Right? Referral systems are awesome. Another one is you create a tiered referral system. So if you have, for example, you should, once you set this up, you should communicate it to your audience. So for example, if they give one referral, they get the character development book. If they get 2 referrals, they get a bookmark with your signature on it. Or if they send 3 referrals, they get special access to your membership. Yeah, so you can tier it based on the amount of referrals they get, so it inspires them, and they feel like, hey, I'm not just selling the book for this person and not getting any reward. You got to give them something for that time and energy, and putting their word on the line, right? So you could give them access to, membership access on exclusive content on your website. You could, if they get 4 referrals, they can get a free download link to your audiobook. And then if they did 5 referrals, then they get the first viewing of your next book, et cetera, et cetera. So you can build out that tier to. I would suggest if you're going to do a referral system, you should do it up to. You should have 10 in place. 10 potential referrals. What are you going to reward them for each one? Right. And you just escalate. It doesn't have to be anything. Again, in the digital world, once you create something, it's easy to send it off. So it doesn't have to cost you anything necessarily, right? So that's one thing, is create a referral system. Another cool, fun way to do to go a little bit viral nowadays is also, and it's still people are still doing them, is creating infographics. So an infographic is, it's a visual representation of a story you want to tell, essentially, right? So you could do a character timeline, right? So the timeline of the character from where they started in the book to where they ended, and just some visual snapshots of it, and have that go out and put that out there on all your social media, and people will share that. Another is also even sharing your reader demographic. So if you know what your niche market is and the type of people that are buying your books, then create a infographic around that, so other readers, these are the types of people that read this person's book. Okay, interesting, cool, fun, viral type things. You could also do your if you have multiple books or even essays, published articles, poems, short stories, anything that you've written, you could also do an infographic on like a bookography, right? So you just create all of those, and then you just create like a whole timeline of when it was created, and maybe even the book cover or something like that, or the mention of where it was published, and just kind of have something fun for people to see. And you can do it in any genre. So, for example, we all know, R.L. Stine, is for Goosebumps. Well, what Stine could do is create an infographic of all the different Goosebump books, and when they were created, and maybe even just a character of the main theme of that book, and all the way through, and a whole series of them, and have that go viral, because then it shows interest in the book. You're branding your name, you're branding your product. It gets out there. Stephen King could do it, because he's 60. He's got over 60 different books, and like 200 short stories or something like that. So there's so much that you could do, and it doesn't matter the niche. I
was just thinking, right? Even a simple, sorry to interrupt, another simple thing to do is read a section of the first part of your book into an MP3. Just record it. That's a download giveaway that people can share. You put it on Facebook. Totally. So now they're hearing part of your book. They get engaged in the story. Go, well, what's the rest of it? You could sell the rest of it as an audio, your book, or trigger them to buy the book. So simple things. There's many things you could do that are fun and right in your comfort zone that can generate sales.
Yeah, go ahead.
And inexpensive. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Go to Fiverr.com and get an infographic done.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or even if you want to create one yourself, if you got the creative mind, you can go to it's canva.com and create a free account there, and create all these different graphics and images, and then download them and upload them wherever you want. So there's all kinds of resources for that stuff. Another one is for the branding component, is to create a tagline, create something that distinctly says who you are. In the real world networking industry, we call it an elevator pitch. If you can do that for your brand, that's what you want. For example, on my book, which I've actually pulled because I'm actually redoing it and updating it, but Business Owner's Guide to an Endless Stream of Loyal Clients, right? Now, my tagline for that was plan with audacity and execute with tenacity. So my clients know that, hey, that's what we do. We plan with audacity. I think and I plan big, right? Mm-hmm. And in order for us to do things, we need to then execute with tenacity. So I use it everywhere. Right? So you should use it in profiles, use your website, use it in signatures, on your emails. Whenever you're in that market, those people should know that that's what you do and that's how you do it.
That's excellent.
Right?
Very cool. We're about one.
Yeah, say it again.
So we're about to wind it down. Just giving you the heads up.
Yeah. So I just want to throw, because I wanted to kind of give some other ones. So another one, a quick one, is to create a caricature. Right, and we talked about that last week. Is create a character that represents, who you are. So, for example, my character for that book was an oracle, because I call myself the business oracle, marketing oracle. Right, it represents who you are and what you put out there. Right, again, branding so that's recognizable and repeatable, and then create freemium previews. Right, so when they buy the first book, they can get the first 3 chapters of the next book for free. Right, so it's a preview of the next thing, but it's free, and so it becomes as a bonus too, and they can share that, and it becomes, again, it helps to become more viral. And it also, in those first 3 chapters, just a little note: if you are going to give away a freemium, you should always in there have at least 1 or 2 call to actions to actually pre-purchase the final copy.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you can even get pre-sales, right? And the last one, you can do social media contests. So you can do build up your social media following if you don't already have one. Once you've got that, then you create a contest for your fans to come up with, for example, best cover image, best character names, best plot twists, best alternative endings. Those are all some fun, creative ways that you can do right away to create a buzz around what you do, and at the same time establish a brand.
That is great stuff. Very cool. So I hope everyone is listening and will be listening on YouTube, because you can check. There'll be links to more content below. Those are very actionable things that anyone can do. Even if you took one of those and you give you a list Just do one.
Totally.
One simple thing, and then you go, that wasn't that hard. I'll do the next one. And that leads to momentum, then confidence, and then you're out of your maybe the other comfort zone, and you start seeing your vision take shape. Next week, before we part with this call, we have a special interview next week. Well, guest interview. I'm going to let Wendy explain who it is and what it's about. So I'm branding again because we believe this is so important. And when you get this down, you can really leverage what you're doing and get confident that you're creating a persona of you out there in the marketplace in a way that you can duplicate it. So I think just give everyone the name, who it is that's going to be on next week.
Sure. Yeah. I had the pleasure a couple of weeks ago of meeting Isabelle Mercier-Turcotte, who is one of Canada's foremost branding experts. She's worked with lots of big corporations and small businesses and artistic types and everybody. You don't want to miss our interview with her. The talk that I heard, I went away with so much. It's fantastic. So meet us back here at 10 o'clock Pacific, and I'm sure you're going to have some great takeaways from our interview with Isabelle.
And anyone who happens to see this on YouTube and this is a delayed or a replay, go find that interview. It'll probably be chronologically near this one that you're looking at. So check below and the links below and anything you see, get more exposure to Author Success Guild and how we can help leverage your vision into reality and assist you in doing the marketing components. So thanks for your time, and we'll see you next week.
Like us on our Facebook, share this, share with the little tweet thing over there also to share out. Remember to do that for us, and let's get some more authors on the right track for creating a career.